I carry a water from the moon and the snow. I change my trouble just to see you there. What a disaster! I break my back, give everything I got to, but you don't care. Yeah, I'm glad that she was there.
Good afternoon, bless. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, family and friends. Bless. Good afternoon. I want to say a blessed good afternoon to ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, Trinidad and Tobago. Blessed good afternoon to you. I want to send out some love to our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean and those of you that reside outside, further outside of Trinidad and Tobago. We send love. We say blessed good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, those of you who haven't yet, I want to encourage you to like, to share, to subscribe to our YouTube page. Again, it's your boy Irvin, and this is the next episode of Real Talk. So as you come up, I encourage you, call somebody who knows somebody, let them know the Real Talk program is up. And it's Wednesday, the 6th of August in beautiful Trinidad and Tobago. They can't hold us back no longer. This is where I am at as a Trinbagonian citizen. We are going through the argument thing. You take your foolishness to somebody else. My responsibility is to stay factual. My responsibility is to stay focused. My responsibility is to play a part of building Trinidad and Tobago. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know the slogan here is each one help one, a chain so they are strong as its weakest link. Let them keep their dotishness to themselves. We're moving forward.
You said she was just
I listened to this song yesterday with my Sunday and I said, nah, but the song nice, Patricia, but it's a certain kind of artist too. And I want to send out some love to our artists in Trinidad and Tobago, whether it be chutney, gospel, soca, reggae, we better resistance used to sing my reggae lipso, different, whatever the style of music in Trinidad and Tobago. I want to continue to send out some love, and I thank each and every one of our brothers and sisters for their continuous contribution, their support, their participation. Trinidad and Tobago, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, as we navigate forward, I want to encourage you as you come up, share with somebody. I want to send a blessed good afternoon to our brothers and sisters down there in Cedros, Erin, Buenos Aires, and the Carcass. I want to send some love to our brothers and sisters in Point Fortin, those in Labre, Rosilac, Dow, Chinese Village. We must send some love to Safaria, Penal and Debe. Blessed good afternoon to you. We send some love to Princess Town, Claxton Bay. Claxton Bay, pick up yourself. As you come up, blessed good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, today we talking stand your ground. You know where we find ourselves in Trinidad and Tobago and our responsibilities to play a part of relevant conversation. This is why we start with this song. I say thank you very much to Patrice Roberts and the team. Understand our music. Don't let them hold you back. Stand your ground. I want to say a blessed good afternoon, brothers and sisters. I wasn't able to do, but I did a live yesterday. Some people tell me it was breaking up. So we had to fix that problem today. So this is where we had to talk. So as you come up, I want to wish you a blessed good afternoon from myself, Irvin Felix, from my family, from the 648-868 studio. Yes, from the Real Talk team. We wish you a blessed good afternoon. So whether you're in Port of Spain, whether you're in Claxton Bay, whether you're in Rio Claro, you could be in Chabonas, you could be in Toco Manzalina, whether you're in Moruga, wherever you are this blessed Wednesday afternoon. this 2025 year that we live in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm sending out much love to you. Ladies and gentlemen, before I get down in tape, I want to continue to remind you, as you see on the page here, of brothers and sisters who reached out from time after time and they say, Irvin, you have to get yourself in an order because we're not going to stand up in no MoneyGram, no Western Union line. So to our brothers and sisters, again, you know, I will connect with my mother. So my mother and them set me up right. So I must send out some love to my beautiful mother down there in Georgia, to my stepfather. Big up yourself to my sister, my little niece. So the brothers and sisters, you could PayPal me at Trinidad Halls. Yes, this is those of you outside of Trinidad and Tobago and those of you who in Trinidad and Tobago. You want to give the support and nobody do have to know your business. We have a Scotiabank account right now on the screen. So you can take down the information again. This thing is about each one helping one. And if it is just saying that the program is a contributing factor, the program is needed in Trinidad and Tobago, well then it's my responsibility to set the relevant structure in the right way. So brothers and sisters, as we navigate forward, I needed to call somebody who knows somebody. Let me get this off the screen. Let me get the phone line up. We will get back to this part this afternoon. But listen to me. Earlier today, we're talking stand your ground. Stand your ground is the conversation. And as we deal with the stand your ground conversation, again, we must understand, we must remember that after April 28th, we had a responsibility in Trinidad and Tobago. We could have continued sitting back and complaining, and it had those who we gave the responsibility to lead, and they didn't lead. So it ended up being a whole follower situation that gave us some of the highest murder rates. It gave us some of the highest unemployment. It gave us some of the highest mismanagement. It gave us some of the highest level of disrespect. And it actually put the nation in a high form of dependency. Now, brothers and sisters, we could talk, we could say what it is we want. We live in Trinidad and Tobago, but the US dollar play a significant role in our economy. Now, the direction that we going forward, yes, is up to the people and the governing authority of this nation. Now, my responsibility is to remind you, April 28th, we made a decision. Now, it have people in this country listening to the conversation don't start to change. I ain't mad at nobody. Your responsibility is to stand your ground. But my responsibility, I must continue to send love out to my UNC, to my coalition of interest team. I must send out love to Tobago and the TPP. I must send out some special love to Trinidad and Tobago, every stable-minded citizen. And I must continue to send out love to Trinbagonian citizens outside of Trinidad and even people who married into Trinidad families. And again, you know the structure here in Trinidad and Tobago, so you don't have to just see somebody like me and think, wait now, oh, that is what Trinidadian look like. No. You could find yourself in problems. If you're not from Trinidad, you could find yourself in problem identifying a Trinbagonian citizen. And your responsibility is to stick to the watchwords. Here, every creed and race finds an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Despite the level of crime you're hearing in the news, here, every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Hence the reason why we had to make the relevant adjustments as citizens. Because lack of investments in the community, ladies and gentlemen, lack of things to participate in, lack of opportunity, that is a breeding ground for violence. It's a breeding ground for criminal activities. Now, I sit back over the years and I listen to different people broke down different structures of how we fighting, how we tackling, and how we curbing crime. Crime out and crime about. So we will discuss that part too. But something that we must continue to discuss is this stand your ground and what bring about this conversation. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say a blessed good afternoon to Vincent, David Williams. I want to say TK, big up yourself, big up yourself. Gaza Trini, big up yourself. Who I think I see Pearl, Sammy, Ricky, big up yourself. Williams, nothing but love, nothing but love. Floyd, blessed good afternoon. Who I seen there? I see somebody link Atikati for me. All the link with brothers and sisters, Mr. Ruka. Blessed afternoon as you come up. Brandon, blessed afternoon as you come up. I encourage you to call somebody who knows somebody. We talk today we talk and stand your ground. Now, all you know me, politician, but I'm a Trinbagonian citizen, and my responsibility is to see what is being implemented, if incorporating it in my family, around my neighborhood, around my community, if it making sense. So then our responsibility and our facts is to always stick to the evidence that is before us. But you know how we just do here. Have you looked at You ever looked at the UK gun crime stat? No, I never look at it, David. I never look at it. I will take a look at it. Thank you very much for asking that question. So, but before we get into any conversation, brothers and sisters, we had to start this thing with a word of prayer. So, Heavenly Father is your son, Irvin. Father, we give you the praise, we give you all the honor and all the glory. We thank you for everything that you have done and everything that you continue to do for us here in Trinidad and Tobago. Lord, we lift up our governing authority. We lift up each and every child. We lift up each and every community before you. Father, we ask that you encamp your angels around our communities, around our neighborhoods, our businesses, around our homes. Father, we just want to worship you. We say less of us, and more of you. So, Father, we ask that you guide and you protect, you order our leader's step. Father, we lift up our Honorable Prime Minister, Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar. Lord, I even say a special prayer for my Member of Parliament here in Point 14, Mr. Raymond Ernesto Kiza. Father, we lift up each and every representing factor that have the responsibility to be a part of building and making Trinidad and Tobago a blessed and a covered place again. So, Father, we ask that you cover our governing authority, cover each and every decision, each and every implementation, each and every employee, each and every actions. Father, I ask that you order their steps. And Father, we lift up each and every spiritual denomination throughout our nation, for we live in a diversified nation. So Father, I ask that you give spiritual leaders in every single denomination the unction to function. Father, invoke something in their spirits that they come out in the highways and the byways and proclaim your name. Father, we want to ask that you change the minds and the hearts of those practicing violent crimes, domestic violence. Father, we pray that you open the doors of opportunities for the less fortunate. Father, we pray for those who don't have. Father, we even pray for the sick. Today, Father, I ask that you just take charge of Trinidad and Tobago, take charge of our conversation. Lord, I pray that government on the outside continue to find favor in our citizens, Lord. We pray that all those on the nation roadway, wherever they at, wherever in the world, Father, I pray no accidents, no incidents upon the nation's roadway today. Father, we even want to lift up the war-prone areas. Some of the countries, the conversation is drastically unnecessary. So, Father, I'm saying you have your way. Have your way when there seems to be no way. Lord, I thank you for today's program, and I pray that you cover each and every person that will be up on our show, every person that will be commenting on the show, every person that will be sharing. We even want to say a prayer for the naysayers today, Lord. Father, we thank you. We give you all the praise, all the honor, and all the glory. And I continue to pray and lift up my lovely family. I pray for my wife and my children. Father, I even want to lift up the Real Talk families. Cover our decision-making, cover our going outs and our coming ins. In no other name but in Jesus' name. Amen and amen. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, family and friends, bless, good afternoon. Now today, as we say, we're talking, we can just give everybody the opportunity to make the contribution. Now, at the end of the day, we have a governing authority that asks us to vote and asks us to support them along the way. And we had one conversation at one point in time, and because when election done. So those who had the opportunity to guide, cover, and govern Trinidad and Tobago and implement the relevant structures to deal with particular problems, when you do really check the structure of it, it's the same persons who help magnify the problems. Now, I'm saying this, nobody can sugarcoat nothing for me. You can't run and hide. You can't duck with this. Crime always was a thing in Trinidad and Tobago. Killing always was a thing in Trinidad and Tobago. But here where you're not going and get me to accept. Everybody in Trinidad and Tobago have enough common sense to know numbers don't lie, and our responsibility is to hold on to the facts. Now, here in beautiful Trinidad and Tobago, whether it was Mr. Basdir Pandey, who fall under East Indian ethnicity, whether it was Mr. Patrick Manning, who fall under African ethnicity, whether it was Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, who fall under East Indian ethnicity, or whether it was George Chambers. You know who name we cannot put in this? We cannot put Mr. Rowley name in this. Because based on the evidence and the statistic, it shows over the years, it had a government that came up with an idea or even promoted the ambition to close the oil refinery and close down Petrotrain Trimmer. No other government came up with such an irresponsible idea like that. So to start with, Now I am telling you, we're talking real talk today. Before 2018, we had murders. We had home invasions. But brothers and sisters, not me who saying it, the statistics show that after 2018, the problem was magnified. This is basic facts. Now again, this is me just starting without sugarcoating to explain to you that the former administration must take responsibility for their actions. You as a Trinbagonian citizen must take responsibility for what you participated in. Now today all are we out and about and telling people yellow is the code. But there was a time the conversation was otherwise. You know what has sick me with it? You see people who does be afraid to have the conversation. If you used to support, you used to support. But when the reality hit you, whether it be yesterday or it could be after this conversation, when reality hit you, it comes just like you're talking to a Syrian or you're talking to an Indian person. You and them fall out, and you calling them some other weird name, and them turn around to tell you, why you ain't gone so? Where you get your name from? Your name come from a slave master. And you as an African in Trinidad and Tobago, with all the data, we explain from the Caribbean come straight down to Trinidad and Tobago, how African people was transported from Africa to the United States of America and different parts of the world. The treatment and the persons who had the authority over us, the person who literally named us. Part of why we stuck in this country is because we take African people and put them on a pedestal. Rowley was the last African, I believe, catch people with that. We take African people and put them on a pedestal. Rowley was the last African, I believe, will get the opportunity to manipulate Africans like that again in this country. You know what he did? He abused the power. Mr. Eric Williams put the seasoning and the ingredients, set the equipment. Manning tried best to hold up to it because in Mr. Manning time it had some conversations too. Not me to break down water distribution in this country. It's the elderly brothers and sisters around the country explain to people in this country that when the former administration logo is in office, there's a problem for water. There's always a problem for water in this country. Not me who say it, you know. Even people who still supporting the former administration, calling this program here, and first God using them to talk the truth. Call this program and explain to everybody globally that when the party in power, which is the PNM in power, they have problem for water. We're going with a lot of them that they're racial. So when Mr. Pandey say, no, let me set a structure and bring water, you want the water, but you want to hold on to racialism. So you get the first opportunity of vote you out for that. And listen, East-West corridor all up the road, he went up the road and fix it. Went up the road and bring water for people. You imagine we listening to conversation. It have people still living in and around the capital city using latrine in 2025. Well, let's have to correct me when I'm going wrong. And if these things is what it is all you're voting for, my responsibility is here to remind you, to tell you. You see, before my great-great-grandmother died, my family was poor. Yes, we was. But for some strange reason, my grandmother and them had enough ambition to make the future generation use inside toilets. That is not a political thing. That is a mindset thing. So the fact that we sitting in Trinidad and Tobago, now mind me, if you check the average African, head over by Pastor Liard, or you could go over by the African sister who always ready to talk something. But when you give them the opportunity to talk, is only Watson Duke they could talk about. Always ready to talk something. Check over by their page. Africans like myself, they will tell you, we is lick Africans. We is African people who is sellout. This is what they will tell you. They will tell you that we is African people in Trinidad and Tobago that Indian people using we to do programs. You know they wouldn't tell you? They wouldn't tell you that Africans like me met them face to face Africans like me, when I sit back and testify, and I tell them that they have no ambition, they know it's straight facts I talking about. Them is the African people that convincing African people that the Indian man in this country is the enemy. But when them ready to beg, but they ain't even ashamed to go by African people and beg. They go straight by the Indian man and beg. And the lyrics while they're begging is telling the Indian man, it's not really you I talking about, you know, use a good one. Use a good one. You see the rest of Indian in this country? You see them Syrian and them Chinese in this country? All of them wicked and bad. All of them stink. All of them in like we watch. Look how much grocery they open. Look how many Indian farmers it have. You know, they never tell we. Going down Shagaramas, they never tell we to have a farmers association down there. They never tell we. You know why? Because the former administration make the friends and the foes box the people and them off their own land. They can't even plant on the land flooding. They break down the value of the people land because of political persuasion. I facts. I facts. All these things is Africans doing Africans. And the conversation in this country is as an African. Matter of fact, I want to say a blessed good afternoon to Miss Melba, to PNM Melba today. You know why? I remember I tell Trinidad and Tobago that African people need to start to talk the truth in this country in order for the African population, the diaspora of Africans in Trinidad and Tobago, need to start to hear the truth. The truth. I sit back last night and taking peace of Miss Melba. Let me put a handle on the woman copy, but the woman is a big woman. We mightn't be supporting the same party, but she's a big woman. And the fact that she spoke truthful last night, I just rock back and shake my head. Miss Melba explaining to Trinidad and Tobago that look how Miss Kamala Prasad Bisesa is represented in the UNC. Miss Melba break down to Trinidad and Tobago that Miss Kamala Prasad Bisesa is a strong, vibrant political leader last night on she page. I rock back and say, okay then. So once we starting to be truthful towards each other, we could start to go somewhere. We could start to go somewhere. We could start to go somewhere. Because all you try to convince the population to start with Miss Kamala Prasad Bisesa is a racist. They were so good, they convinced the population if Anil Roberts could not talk how we could have talked. They convinced the population that Anil Roberts racial too. They left out the African population in Anil Roberts. The cameraman always quick to show you Khadija Amin. When they're discussing, they're talking about these individuals like them a mix at all. When you sit back and you listen some of them speak, now mind me, ladies and gentlemen, stand your ground is where we're talking today, but before we get there, we have to cover the facts and the elements of what we're dealing with. And the element of what we're dealing with, and I could tell you this without a doubt, is that a lot of African brothers and sisters in Trinidad and Tobago, even some East Indian, they get so caught up with living on handouts. They get so caught up with believing that living in poverty, living in a state of asking, living in a state of wanting, not being innovative at all. How irresponsible could you be? It didn't have a person in this country could tell me that they did not know the way how the CPEP program was being operated. That is not what it was designed for. The other day, Miss Khadija Amin had to tell we, Miss Kamala had to tell we, Mr. Clyde had to tell we, Lakramburu had to tell we, Mr. Pararat had to tell we, Onesto Kiza had to tell we. We make a whole government repeat back something that everybody they don't know in the country. And why they had to do it is because the opposition that some of these persons in this country supporting continuing to play games. They're continuing to play games on the backs of Trinbagonian citizens. But brothers and sisters, my responsibility, I tell people and I listen, the conversation change. Me vexing with you, me fighting with you. Me fighting you down. Again, I am a human being. My responsibility based on where I am at I am living in Point 14. I happen to have a representative that when he in a fight, he in a fight. And when I look through the diaspora at this government structure, it have representatives who, when they're in a fight, they're in a fight. So it cannot be me alone in this country that spoke publicly, endorsed the UNC and the coalition of interest publicly, and have confidence in my member of parliament that I understand what is at risk. I understand sitting down and bad talking of government. Brothers and sisters, did any of you read through these things? These things wasn't ornaments, you know. These things wasn't ornaments. When I went to the poll, April 28th, to vote, UNC will tackle the crime crisis with intelligence, competence, and purpose. This is what I voted on. You know. We understood that it have a crime situation. Every single person, whether it was UNC or PNM, the only difference with the PNM supporters is that while their government, in government, they cannot speak. So they were actually under dictatorship. The rest of the country, we didn't accept that. Had we continue along that way, by today, we would not be able to speak. Because when you listen to the gentleman who went to OJT, practicing to be a prime minister for 10 years, bypassed all the African who built the party, he bypassed all of them, and then had the audacity in the middle of election to tell the citizens that he was on the job training to be a prime minister and accept the nation, expect the nation to accept that. And all these Africans, some of them so disrespectful, they're using the police monogram, the police emblem, pushing racial and dotish conversation on social media. I hope that somebody called Joseph Perry and let him know that that wallpaper that he's using, being represented by the police service of Trinidad and Tobago and attacking UNC supporters blatantly online, that is not accepted. That is a blatant disrespect to the police service. My new commissioner of police, to my minister of Homeland Security, is a disrespect to the average citizen. So I would not be accepting or tolerating that. So I'm asking again on the program. I did it on the live. I'm asking on the program now. Somebody needs to look into Joseph Perry. He's a police officer and a disrespectful one at that. Because he utilizing the police monogram, the police emblem to fight politics when it have no election in the air. Trinidad and Tobago, all understand where we at. Understand where we at. The facts is, now we standing with wrong, but listen what we're dealing with. The facts is, we are 144 billion US dollars outside, borrowed money. The facts is, the former administration that just left office was able to rip the people of Trinidad and Tobago off so clean that they were able to borrow the most money that was ever borrowed in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, brothers and sisters. The most money than all the rest of governments. That's what I'm telling you here. You're adding Mr. Pandey time, Mr. Chambers time, Mr. Williams time, Mr. Manning time, Miss Kamala first time. And all those prime ministers did not borrow money as the former administration in the last 10 years. I need people to start to tell me when I'm lying, you know. Because we don't want people to feel that there's a game we're going on here. So I'm going to tell people when I lie. And while we're dealing with 144 billion, listen, not millions, you know, $144 billion. We're still looking for 2.6 million dollars. We're still looking for. This is a game that Mr. Imbert and his PNM groups utilize the Auditor General, drag the lady straight to the Privy Council. The Privy Council is who showed Trinidad and Tobago Well, although the opposition was telling us all the time, but when Ms. Kamala tell we that they irresponsible, when Mr. Arnold tell we they irresponsible, the former administration used to turn around and say, UNC pushing racialism. Them Indian trying to get African out of power so the Indian could make African eat off the ground. That is what they're pushing quietly down in the community. And when they're done, they're putting on jackets and ties like myself and go up in the parliament and pretend that they're using THs. And when you ask their contribution in the community, drive down to Point 14, a part that served 72% of the revenue. We never without a representative. We always had a member of parliament. You know, is the sad thing with it? The majority of the time, this is the second time in the history of all the elections in Trinidad and Tobago that Point 14 make up its mind. PNM, we had enough. Library on it first. Library on it first. Where the people in these districts make up their mind that they had enough. Point 14 can reach to the point that we had enough. Library reached to the point they had enough. And constituencies, that was UNC. Nobody didn't tell all you that your government and your representatives was in opposition. Some are only out and about and talking about all your representatives have been sitting in office for the past 10 years with the PNM. Yes, and if the PNM did not bring goods and services to the PNM areas, how the hell could you think that your representative could have bring goods and services to you? How irresponsible? Again, you're getting tied up with former administration and the lyrics. But my responsibility, you probably could play them games. I can't play them games. I now dive out at 20-something years of bondage. I now get out of 20-something years. And when you walk through Point 14 in a UNC jersey, them Indian and them, and that is how they're addressing you. I now come out from 20-something years, people who living in houses. There are people in Point 14 who never support the PNM. You know? Years they're not supporting the PNM. And you know what go on with these people? They just be up here telling you that they drain behind their house, they're taking the yard, and the house looking to collapse. Some of them people here today, they could tell you about PNM people who was holding permanent positions, who fixed the drain just behind them house and leave everybody else's house to cave. This is what it is. I know come out at 20-something years of victimization. Blessed afternoon, blessed afternoon. It's 20-something years. So probably when you hear the conversation when UNC win, everybody win. And somebody could bring a conversation to you to tell you that you lost. I dare one of them to approach me with that conversation. I dare them to do that. You break that information to me. You tell me today how I lost. Put me in a sit down and you explain to me the position that I am in, that I lost. Brothers and sisters, we talking stand your ground, but before we get there, we have to go somewhere first. I now come out of begging. Listen, I'm telling you how serious the thing is. You know? The member of parliament for Point 14, the former member of parliament for Point 14, went to Vestini Secondary School. The member of parliament for Point 14, nowhere close to 40. Yeah, little boy. And that, what's me, his political group and the member of parliament for Library with the borough corporation at Point 14, none of these, with all the party groups, none of these entities found it fit to fix the water problem in Vestini Secondary School, to fix the ceiling in Vestini Secondary School. None of those entities found it fit to do a little restructuring for Point 14 West. Ladies and gentlemen, me in line to tell you, when I tell you I respect my member of parliament, I understand the position I in, you know. I understand what is needed and I'm listening to the conversation, what coming out from a member's mouth. The other day we went to do the election, because those of you who know, you would know that I am the Vanguard president for the PTA in St. Patrick. Based on a couple of disrespectful members, right now we're going through a little vibes here because, again, the same PNM bloodline attitude, the same dotishness. But don't worry, we are working it out, but we go get it done. Who is this here? Let me take this one. Bless good afternoon, caller. Bless good afternoon. Bless afternoon, caller. Caller, you gotta call back. Your phone signal ain't working good. Yeah. So I'm telling you, we standing with ground and we discussing. Bless good afternoon, caller. Bless good afternoon. How you
Hello?
doing? Hello.
I there. Now I talk to Annie there. Now inside she store.
Oh God, no,
And I
right now
ain't
on
seen
the
her.
program. Right now on the program. You had to call
Oh God, sorry.
393-393-6011.
All right.
You get it? You get the number? Right. That is a call for Adi. So here it is now. We discussing stand your ground, and we responsibilities that the government, the position that some telling us that the governing authority using us as Africans. Although nobody can produce a receipt, I sure when my member of parliament hear that, I sure when you, the average person in Trinidad and Tobago, hear that, and I sure when the average business person hear that, all they do is open up the door to show Trinidad and Tobago is that this little African boy down in the corner here has some ambition, boy. Them different to the regular PNM African. So that alone supposed to tell you is that I have not been or not supported PNM so long. Let me stop playing the fool, eh? But here is the conversation. The heights in Trinidad and Tobago is, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of games is playing. A lot of people, we walk the talk, we walk together, we talk together, we say when UNC, when everybody win together. Today now we find ourselves in a position where the thing is drastically slow, and as I was explaining yesterday, to everybody it is slow, even to myself and all. I just have my down days. You must have your down days because by now we want to go out to work. But listen to my brothers and sisters. You see, when these things was distributed, me and the family sat down collectively as a group and went through some of it. And based on what it is I saw in some of these manifestos, is the reason why I vote. This is the reason why I ask you. Only we vote in UNC. We vote in coalition all the way. It will give me the confidence to walk through point 14 and let people know, hey, Mr. Raymond Onesto Kiza, hey, that man is given the opportunity because this in this paper here, it might see the UNC logo. But this inside here is not politics. This is representation. So let me bring Miss Kamala Prasad Bisesa into this. So let me run our audio before we get down to work here. So ladies and gentlemen, there we go.
We have to recalibrate legislation to enhance the rights of law-abiding citizens. Criminals' rights must never, never, ever supersede, be above those of law-abiding people in our country. Never, ever, never, ever. Further, to my instructions to the Honorable Attorney General, the Law Reform Commission has prepared a policy paper entitled Protection Against Home Invasion in Trinidad and Tobago, an examination of stand your ground and other self-defense laws. They have also drafted a bill entitled the Home Invasion, Self-Defense and Defense of Property Bill 2025. In 2 short months. In accordance with Section 3 of the Law Reform Commission Act, Chapter 304, the Law Reform Commission received instructions from the Honorable Senator, Attorney General of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, John Jarrett. Give me a hand, boss. He's really working really hard, to undertake a comprehensive examination of the relevant statutes in other jurisdictions, stand your ground laws, the model which exists in Florida, for example, any other relevant domestic laws which address self-defense options available to occupants of dwellings by which they can protect themselves from home invaders. Yes. This bill seeks to establish the offense of home invasion, and in that context, to provide a person has no duty to retreat when operating in self-defense, in defense of his property, in defense of his family. Yes. This bill will provide that a person may use defensive force, including deadly force, to protect himself, his property, and his family members. The bill would establish, as I said, the offense of home invasion and set out the parameters of the offense. This will include the unlawful entry by a person, the home invader, into a dwelling house with intent to use force or threaten the use of force on persons in that dwelling house. The offense of home invasion will also cater for instances in which a home invader intentionally causes any injury to occupants of that house, including grievous bodily harm, grievous sexual assault, rape, and death. A home invasion may involve a home invader stealing, damaging, destroying property in a house with or without the use of intimidation, threats, or violence. Further, a home invasion may involve the use of a weapon, a firearm, or an explosive device in order to cause grievous bodily harm, permanent disability, permanent disfigurement, or death to any person in that house. In this bill, provision is also being made for aggravating factors where home invasion is carried out by a member of a gang, a participant in an organized criminal activity, or in the presence of a child, senior citizen, differently abled, or vulnerable person. For the purpose of self-defense during a home invasion, the use of deadly force may be justified where an occupant reasonably believes that force is necessary to prevent death, to prevent bodily harm, to prevent grievous sexual assault or rape. The bill is drafted. Say thanks to the government. Give us a round of applause, I ask you. The bill is drafted within 2 months. And we will put the bill out for consultation. We'll put the bill out for consultation. And Thursday, it will be presented to the cabinet, and national consultations will then begin with a targeted completion date in AG, July. After the consultations come in, we will continue working with the suggestions that come in from John Public, from you, from various stakeholders, and we will put it together that once the parliament reopens in September, that bill will be laid in parliament and we will move to pass it in parliament to give you greater safety and security. So this is the stand your ground letter sent to the Honourable Attorney General, sending us a policy paper and a draft bill. So during July, while parliament is closed, we will not stop working. We will have the consultations out there. This is the policy paper together with a bill for helping you to fight out home invaders. In addition to this, in tandem, together, we cannot have just home invasion laws. We must also give you the power, the tool, the instrument to protect yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
And so what we will do, we are working on amendments to the Firearms Act to make it easier for law-abiding citizens to access legal firearms. So then you can legally rock it back, empty the clip, legally. Defend yourself, defend your family, defend your home, your property, and your loved ones.
Now let me explain something to you, ladies and gentlemen. The only person in this country who will have a problem with what Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar said, the government would be working assiduously to make sure that people have the power so that they have the right to bear arms, so that you could defend your home if a home invader comes. You have people in this country who took that conversation and they're telling you that Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC is targeting African people. Just the other day, my partner KFC and all calling with this stand your ground and some of these laws, and he say, wait, but they go kill out the Africans in this country. So that is just to let you know that people is aware of the activities and where the African people. Now, while I'm having this conversation, I am not telling you we don't have misguided East Indian young people in this country. But I am telling you, when it comes to wanting a break, when it comes to those who have no problem running in your house carelessly, and when they don't do it and they get locked up, the parents coming out and cuss the police, the parents coming out and cussing you, the person who get robbed, you, the person who get victimized, you, the person who was vandalized, them cussing you because them children come in your house, them going by the Obia man, because them children break into your house, violated your house, in a lot of cases disrespected your wife, assaulted your daughter, in some rare cases, even assault the men in the house. I have heard of cases like that. Sexually assault people. You don't rob the family, you don't get everything, the people don't give you everything. And on top of that, in a lot of cases, they still execute the family, execute the husband, execute the wife, and the children. Don't bounce your head and pretend that you have a business in this country. You became a target based on political advice. Based on political advice in Trinidad and Tobago, the average person, no mind the ethnicity, became a target. We became a target because of political advice. Well, you correct me when I start to go wrong, you know. The former administration explained to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the PNM is an African party, UNC is an Indian party. That's what they tell me. The PNM administration, deep down in the bowels, the culture that they fed the supporters, this is what my mother and them know. Nobody else say want nothing for them. This is what we grew up knowing. Everybody else is we enemy. Everybody else utilizing the same economy, going to the same failing schools. Even Venezuelans now tipped over here since COVID is a part of the business structure at Trinidad and Tobago. And we still are Africans on social media fighting down Africans for telling you that, boy, enough of that PNM dotishness. Enough of that PNM stupidness. Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain something to you. This is something that's supposed to blow the mind from all Trinbagonian citizens. When we're talking violent crime globally, now mind me, out of all the countries in the world, when you're talking violent crimes, Trinidad and Tobago ranking number 7. You know? Trinidad and Tobago ranking number 7 in violent crimes globally. Now, if you go to World Population Review, this is where I get this information from. World Population Review. Number 1 violent country in the world is Venezuela. Ladies and gentlemen, we is Venezuela next door neighbor. That we closest country. Venezuela closer to Trinidad and Tobago is to Trinidad. It could have been Trinidad and Venezuela or Venezuela and Trinidad. First Venezuela close to Trinidad. Venezuela ranking number 1. Papua New Guinea ranking number 2. Afghanistan ranking number 3. Haiti ranking number 4. South Africa ranking number 5. Honduras ranking number 6. And number 7 is Trinidad and Tobago. So the most Trinidad and Tobago ranking as the 7th most violent country in the world. That is not good news for me to bring, but we have had the conversation. And the country that ranks number 1 is our nearest neighbor, which is Venezuela. Or you tell me we don't have a problem. Tell me we could continue voting party politics and don't look for representation. Now, mind me, brothers and sisters, my responsibility again is to bring you the data. We went from, this is burglaries and housebreaking. For some strange reason, they ain't giving you from 2010, 2011, 2012. They gave you from 2013. Now, this is from a governing authority because, mind me, Ms. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, we honorable Prime Minister, we mother the nation. Understand that for some strange reason, they're not giving we 2010, 2011, and 2012. 2013, when the internal argument started in the United National Congress. And the people of Trinidad and Tobago started to feel despondent and the support started getting weak. Listen to me. Burglaries and break-ins rose to nearly 30,000, 2,900, number 30,000, nearly 3,000, 2,968 in 2014, 2,592, 2015, it's kind of went down, 2,100, 2,111, 2016, 2,187, 2017, 2,176, 2018, 2017, 2019, 2029, 2020, 1,511, 2021, 1,331, 2022, 1,733, 2023, 1,677, 2024, 1,613. And this is burglaries we talking about. This is burglaries we talking about. Now, brothers and sisters, my responsibility though is to bring it with the murder, because this is the statistic when it comes to burglaries, like breaking people's place and them kind of dotishness. Right? Robbery and them kind of thing. So now I have to go to murder. And murder now will explain to you from 2010. When the UNC now inherit office, the murder rate was 485. After the first term, 2011, they brought it down to 354 murders. 2012, 338 murders. 2013, 408 murders. 2014, 403 murders. 2015, 410 murders. This was the election year. Mark Boss, UNC corrupt, Anand Ram Logan a business, Miss Kamala is a racist, Anil is a old thief. This is the lyrics that was distributed to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and the people grab it. While all the quarreling going on with the UNC government, everybody getting paid, school billing, house billing, grant paying, people getting support. We decide to step aside at that and we make it personal. How Miss Kamala and them quarreling so yeah, well, from 2015 with the murder never passed. Listen what I'm telling you. Under Miss Kamala first term, the murder never passed. 411. Miss Kamala first 5 years. It didn't pass 411. First year, murder rate, 2016, 2015 into 2016, 463 murders. 2016 into 2017, 494 murders. 2017, 2018. Now this figure here, they always talk about the 605 figure. But you see this 516 figure, 2018, 2019 murder rate? This was a drastic turning tide in Trinidad and Tobago. This closing of Petrotrin and Cemetal, all these industries, all these groups that closed down. And Cemetal was able to close down and tiptoe away with the resources from the sweat from Trinbagonian citizens. The governing authority that hold office did not put up a fight. Blessed afternoon, Carlos. Carol. Blessed afternoon, Daniel. Blessed afternoon. Hi, blessed afternoon, everyone. Everyone walk. Blessed good afternoon. Roberts, blessed afternoon to you. 2018 into 2019, that 516 murders was a drastic turning tide in this country, which was under the stewardship of your Rowley. Again, I see we over the 400. Blessed good afternoon to YouTube. Blessed good afternoon to our brothers and sisters on Facebook. Again, I just want to ask that you continue to share. It opens the algorithm. And again, ladies and gentlemen, it shows the support. 2018, 2019, 538. 2019, 2020, you get a drastic drop, 393. Now, if you remember that conversation, this is when the private parts measurement started in Trinidad and Tobago. This is when Gary Griffith and the Prime Minister and the former Minister of National Security, instead of focusing on the seriousness and the structure, the safety of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, they started a penis measurement competition. So the conversation was no longer about the people, was who could get more views, who could lyrics down the people the most, who more popular. Despite the murder rate continued to go back up. 2021, the murder rate 448. Remember I told you when UNC handed over back to the PNM, they never crossed 411. We're going back to 448. 2022 was when the PNM made history in Trinidad and Tobago. Now we keeping in mind, ladies and gentlemen, they originally made history in 2019 with 538 murders. And that was not good enough. Instead of putting structures in place, 28, ladies and gentlemen, in 2018, the former administration was able to break the murder record by 560. Let me break down this thing with common sense, you know. With 516 murders in this country. This is 2018. In 2019, they came back and put that record in its place with 538 murders. When people like me and you spoke up about it, all right, we go do something. They let loose. The murder rate dropped. Trinidad and Tobago didn't realize that. How come we make an uproar, and with an uproar, we get it back down in the 300s. We went back asleep. It went back up to 484 and 48, sorry, in 2021. In 2022, brothers and sisters, is where we made the unprecedented breakthrough as Trinbagonian citizen to break the murder record under the same government, same leadership, same Minister of National Security Council was able to break the murder record. Not once, not twice, not 3 times. They are telling you here, we on the 4th time. This is 2022, with the murder rate being 605 murders. We're talking about people being slaughtered. 26, 27 murder a weekend. Governing authority, Minister of National Security telling you it is not his responsibility to come up with legislations and mechanisms to fight crime. The Prime Minister, the Minister of National Security Council ignore the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Their responsibility, their prerogative at that time was to open avenues, and the only avenues they opened was to go and get money borrow. To do what? Up to now, nobody know where these money spent. Let me go again. So after the 1, 2, 3, 4th time of breaking the crime record in 2024, the former administration had the audacity. Listen what I'm telling you. Listen what it is I am telling you, Mr. Marvin Gonzalez, Miss Camille Robinson Regis, Penelope Beckles, Brian Manning, Shamfa Kojo. We're talking about Keith Scotland. All these persons and more. Faris Alwari, Rohan Sunanan, Kazam Hussein. All of these persons was sitting in office, and they didn't break the murder rate once. They didn't break it twice. They didn't break it 3 times. They didn't break it 4 times. They break the murder rate 5 times. Ladies and gentlemen, when in 2024, we were left with the unprecedented, most disrespectful murder rate that anybody has ever inherited in this country. 624 murders under the leader, under the stewardship of Mr. Rowley, Mr. Imbert. Kazim Hussein, Faris Alwari, Foster Cummins. Come on now, man. Come on now, man. And those persons have for supporters out and about today, having you believing that today you're not in a better place. Brothers and sisters, my responsibility is to go back to this. I told all you, before I put my hand in the ink, I had a copy of this. This is what was told to me and the average Trinbagonian citizen, what would be implemented if the United National Congress and with basic common sense, with the coalition of interests, anti-PP, if we vote, all you read this thing for me, please, so that all they would know what all they getting all themselves into. I read it. So when them convincing people that the country shut down, I read this. When them convincing people that our governing authority, Ms. Kamala, and them don't care about we, I read this. So let me get on into some of this. Let me really see what I really think. The conversation is home invasion outrageous, crime outrageous, murder outrageous. So it seemed to me like a lot of people, predominantly based on what the statistics show and based on how the community is talking, it looked like African persons in those zones doing predominantly more of the criminal activities. Our responsibility is to keep it factual. You don't want to say it, but in order to solve the problem, you have to talk it. So predominantly, based on how you listening, African people, this is not Indian people talking, I tell you, African brothers and sisters contribution, people who living in those zones, they have enough sense to know if stand your ground laws actually implemented, a lot of the young people in their zones, which is predominantly Africans, could end up being a statistic. And that is rather concerning. So, as much as I discuss in the stand your ground laws, my responsibility is to also discuss and remind brothers and sisters what the opportunities that was never implemented before. The opportunities that was there under the former Prime Minister when she was former Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar and she was ripped out of office. 2 elections, we're still waiting on evidence that PNM factually win this. Matter of fact, we're waiting on evidence to prove that Brian Manning literally and factually won Mr. Macamilia in San Fernando East. I want to see the evidence that shows that Stuart Young beat Philip Edward Alexander. I want to see that evidence. Elections and Boundary didn't deliver that evidence to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, but yet still we have people sitting in parliament on the backs of citizens again without factual data. And brothers and sisters, I am telling you my honest heart. Based on this, it is impossible for anybody in this country to convince me Macamilia lost the election. It is impossible for anybody in this country to convince me that Philip Edward Alexander lost his election. It is impossible to tell me or try to convince me that PNM won any seat in this country. Why I could tell you this comfortable? Because again, there is data that shows when I left to go to work the morning, election was the 28th, the 29th when I was going up to work on the radio station. When I left Point 14, Library was ready. The media house, the PNM, everybody had already announced that Library is a PNM zone. But let me tell you something, God don't sleep. And the conversation is the voice of the people, is the voice of God. And Mr. Clyde Elder happened to market this good enough. This is what we vote for. Brothers and sisters, if all you lost all your copy, go back to your copy. Yes, it damn slow. Where the hell, all my family to go to work? Where you feel me how them to go to work? You feel me how those who work in the less fortunate jobs and them head back out? You feel me though what? But when I went and vote, based on the information of this year, some actions will have to take place. And if it is, you and read this properly, you would find yourself in a position thinking your government abandoned you. Listen to me. The conversation is crime is high. I ask the question, you ask the question, UNC did the research, they boast, they tell we the government been sitting down 2 terms, they told us. 2 terms, and it's like UNC ain't ready to run the country. Again, I bring to you, this information was outside before election. One, we passing stand your ground laws. One, stand your ground laws. What we just played it. This is not Ms. Kamala Prasad Bisesa giving the information. Our Attorney General, which is Mr. John Jeremy, and her organization is having the relevant conversation concerning stand your ground and stand your ground laws. Matter of fact, some of the laws has already been amended, and we go along. Create an official home of investigation. Allow for the rights to bear arms. UNC. Change legislation to make greater communities easier. Increase the complements of municipal police. Introduce police officers full-time in schools. Well, let's start to tell me when I'm going wrong, you know. Start to tell me if nobody in here these things, you know. Create a Ministry of Defense. Create a Ministry of Justice. Provide diplomat, undergraduate, postgraduate degrees and policing for result and combining with police and with you, I tried to pronounce the word here. Entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, right? Implement individual risk and financial assessment, which is needed. Undertake pre-trial detention reform and bail reform. Establish what is this? Right, establish minimum security detention center. Listen, implement law to provide incarceration for non-violent offenders, addict. So this is for those who using drugs. Non-violent, implement laws to prevent incarceration. That is a good thing. So that means implementing programs. Implement ankle and bracelet and house arrest system with updated legislation. Establish a support child incarcerated persons. Listen, establish support for children of incarcerated persons. So what this mean? If one of your parents dead, now here is establish a fund for children who have lost one or both parents in crime. This is why I vote for, you know. Implement the revamping of the witness protection program. This is what it is I vote for. Provide personal licensing firearm to active police officers and prison officers. This is what it is I vote for. Because I remember sitting down home in my house and listening, my in-laws and them living over in Separia, and a prison officer waiting on the taxi stand heading home. When you listen to the conversation, the man was a good man in the community, and he ended up dead like a dog on the road. When you listen to the conversation, the prison officers and the police officers, based on some of the rogue elements, they're at risk. Ensure the enforcement of drug and liquor laws regarding minors. This is what it is I vote for, you know. Let me see, let me go again. Enforce a zero tolerance to any physical violence in school. Any school physical attacking another student must be immediately removed from the school and only be allowed to return when complete a neurodiagnostic testing and a proper counseling program approved by the state. Now you tell me if these things is not needed. You tell me if these things is not needed. We watching people, children getting beat up in school. Just the other day, some young girl kick off a girl face. When I say kick up the girl so much, pull out the girl here, the girl thing bleeding. Bleeding. Implement legislation for mandatory cut-off time to all public events requiring a dancehall license not held within the enclosed building. You listening? So once you're having an outside party, an outside venue, this government have the audacity. Matter of fact, this government understand the responsibility. They understand their responsibility. So then I could go back to say what I was saying. This government have the audacity to understand that it have old people living in all over this country. So me telling you don't party, but if your party is an outside party, it just might have an elderly person close by. And it is the government responsibility to make sure, listen, the relevant things is implemented. This is why we're talking pension and get raised in years. This is why we're talking when we elderly brothers and sisters go by the hospital, it does affect we. This is why we voted out the former administration and vote in the United National Congress. Carry out a performance assessment of social programs in national security. Listen, carry out a performance assessment, CCC. Hey, listen what the government coming to explain to we. They didn't take in people. Some of these government programs didn't take in people since January, and money been spending normal. When I went to vote, I didn't know it was so corrupt, but I vote supporting that. Perform a short-term assessment to identify the scale of involvement of illegal immigrants in criminal activities in Trinidad and Tobago. Let me run back that one for you. Perform a short-term assessment to identify the scale of involvement of illegal immigrants in criminal activities in Trinidad and Tobago. April 28, when I went and vote. Look the paper here. This is what I vote for. Will we hire again? Ensure that all schools have a full complement of required deans and discipline security officers and all safety officers. I don't know, brothers and sisters, remember I told you that I am the president of Vanguard PTA. So I understand the shortcomings in the school. I listen to the conversation when it comes to counseling, when it comes to this, when it comes to that. So while I'm on that, I want to encourage every parent when this new school term open. If you're listening to the conversation that in particular schools, there would be police house. If you know your child is not a part of the problem, or even if you know your child does give a little problem, because I was one of those. I was one of those who I did more like sports. I wasn't one of them sit down in the class. There was no big thief, me and no bad John. But I was one of them movers. I know all this, I know everything. So you might have one of them children and you convinced that your child bad, it has no hope for your child. Your responsibility is not accept that. It's you who make that. That is not for the police them to deal with them problems. You who make that. And being a part of, now this is something that I have noticed a lot. A lot of times, you see the parents who cannot afford it because we have parents who is essential workers. We have some parents holding down some kind of job, security, police, and who still fit in the medical board with mother and father playing a role. And then we have single mothers who hold down particular jobs. And then we have single mother. But when I talk in particular jobs, CPEP and all fall under that, because look at the hour, the mothers and them that have to leave home. So for some strange reason, when you say particular jobs, or you call certain kind of jobs, we have people thinking, nah, don't bother with CPEP and Europe. The hours that our mothers just have to leave home, yes, it shortchanged the child. The mother don't get the opportunity to prepare the child to head out to school. The kiss, the morning kiss. Love you. Behave good in school, eh? You know, mommy love you. Behave yourself and respect. Do the teacher work. Plenty of the time, the mothers. So it's not just the people who holding down prominent jobs have that problem. Even the less fortunate, even those who working for the least have that problem. Ladies and gentlemen, introduce a financial incentive program to indicate a higher performing teacher based on students. End of term examination result across all levels. When I went to vote knowing all this information was in this paper, And when it is, I was singing when UNC win, everybody win. I wasn't singing that because UNC is yellow and thinking. It's because of the words. It's because of what UNC stand for. It's because I saw the change in Miss Kamala Prasad Bisesa. It's because I could tell you today that when it is we boy Ravi Ratira move, I see the change in him. I could tell you today. When my member of parliament in Point 14, Mr. Ernesto Raymond Kiza, with the responsibility and the level of neglect that he inherited, because PNM has been in charge of Point 14 for 20 and more. So the level of neglect, shortcomings, and disrespect that the member of parliament under the UNC ticket being endorsed by the OWTU inherited in Point 14. All you feel is joke what Mr. Clyde going through? So to all the supporters, because I know UNC and I know activists. Me and UNC activists. I am a talk show host. I am a contributing factor to positive contribution when it comes to having conversation about government in Trinidad and Tobago. So me and no activists. So those of us who have the responsibility, look, we have 400 and better persons up. And as I continue to send out love to the UNC and the coalition of interest supporters, as I continue to send out love to my member of parliament and his entire team, his family, as I send out love to my family who continue to stand by me over the years, send out love to you, the viewers and the listeners, who continue to support. And when I listen to what's going on, brothers and sisters are starting to think like we're starting to get sidetracked, you know, based on the type of conversations I've seen UNC coalition people attacking UNC people, and people allowing these type of activities on their program. If something is misunderstood, something is misunderstood. So just like the other day when we was having a conversation and Mr. Freeport calling, and people were saying that, yes, Mr. Freeport have a responsibility, and I told him that based on how you're speaking and based on how the others are speaking about our organization, I continue to stand by these words. And the only how we could say when UNC win, everybody win, is if these things are implemented. If the governing authority that we voted for stick to what they guaranteed us. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't call out about 15 things that the government don't implement, don't run past. About 15 things, and you know what they're doing? Them utilizing a budget that they didn't create. And we, the people in society, asking them to deliver things that the former administration did not incorporate into the budget. No way Stuart Young could explain to us, or Faris Alwari, or Mr. Rowley, or Foster Cummins, down in Point 14, if you bounce up Clive Paul, none of them could explain to you where they were going to get $1.4 billion to cover salaries, to cover Ghost Gang, and to cover the working class in CPEP. To cover the Ghost Gang. So you just take the 1.4 and bust that in half. Because when the argument started off the other day, a couple of weeks ago, the conversation was 30,000 CPEP workers. We on the ground, when we started to ask now, well, where did 30,000? The bus it to 15,000. We on the ground again. So when we ask now, where is 15? They cut it to 10. But when you look at the books and the data with the amount of people that getting paid, it's way more than that. It's way more than that. Brothers and sisters, better you be man enough to let the government know, to say to the government, that 6 months, it's sung in real troubling. We know we are educated people sitting in office. And we, the people of Trinidad, the government told us they don't want to shut down the program. They told us that. Their intentions is not to shut down the program. But if all this corrupt information is already outside, you as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, you are asking the right set of questions. If you saying all these people and them have books to buy, let me don't leave out the fact that we was dealing with Ghost Gang too. And a lot of those in the other side, when them talking for the Ghost Gang fraction. You know why I could tell you that comfortably? Because they had no respect for our brothers and sisters. They had no respect for our sisters and our wives. They had no respect for our mothers that was out in the rain, that out in the hot sun, that leaving home 4 in the morning to go and beautify the nation. Instead, they went in and the weasel a order. The weasel a whole idea. They concoct a whole plan to increase the time so the contractor partner, the big boy partner, the money partner could continue getting money. And they didn't even debate for a raise for you, the workers, for your sister, for your mother, for your aunt, for your uncle, the people who actually doing the work. So when you hear them talk, their mindset, their intentions is not Trinidad and Tobago they're talking about. To come to, I dare one of them to come to me with that conversation. If I'm in a better place, but I will explain that to you over and over. I will explain it to you over and over. Just the other day, my children didn't have water in the school. Just the other day, we didn't have water by we houses. This is what I'm telling all you. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't care where you're living. If you know anybody down Cedros people is strong people. Cedros is a fishing community. Cedros is a community had doctors and lawyers. Cedros is a community have farmers. And Cedros is a community that was left without water under the former administration. They don't have an excuse that they could bring to the people in Point Fortin, in Buenos Aires area, in Caracas, or Cedros. They don't have an excuse for not releasing water. Bless good afternoon, Batilda. Bless afternoon, Just School. Bless afternoon, Kenny. Every person. Bless afternoon, Semantics. They don't have an excuse for what they did to people in this country. But they could talk what they want. They could say what they want. Every single conversation, once they open their mouth, it comes back down to race talk. And their responsibility is to try to convince African people in this country that Indian is the enemy. And first, the mindset poor. As I started the program, the fact that our mothers, this is what I'm telling you, first, they don't have no respect for the African woman in this country. First, the former administration have no respect. They forget that we same African mothers. Sometime when man breed them up, 3, 4 children, 3, 4, 5 children, and we bust out and we gone. It's the same African woman. We're taking the same 1 pound of peas and the 2 pound of rice. The same African woman. We're going out and work the 10 days and encourage the same children. Were you telling me none of them children and them can take nothing from their parents? The only thing all they didn't open the door opportunity. All they keep pushing propaganda and telling people in the country that our enemy is the Indian man. When all they had the opportunity to uplift African people with what was being done by the African woman in this country. We can't talk about Miss Penelope Beckers and Miss Camille Robinson Regis. I don't know how them apologizing to the family. But I thanking God, my mother and other African people from this country did not take the direction that they take. It is impossible to sit back and watch your own, even if you're a racist. It is impossible to sit back and accept your people being victimized when you had the power. You have the authority. You had the pen in your hand. You didn't sign off to the cultural teaching. You didn't sign off to it. You didn't sign off to the sports facilities. You didn't do it. You didn't sign off to investing in agriculture. You didn't do it. You didn't sign off for even the school book grant, the school book contribution. But the former administration did a good job of collapsing that. All you feel is joking that this administration have to build back. But do not be foolish as I'm telling people. I don't know which spot you live in. You probably could say, well, don't get no harass. The next time in a wrong, I will vote out UNC backside, become a cousin who's supposed to be walking CPEP, and URP here walking today. So you probably could say that. You probably good with that. I have to remember the last time I support that administration, them convinced everybody that a university at the West Indies coming down to Debe is unhealthy for people in this country. They told us that it wasn't making sense. That same woman walking CPEP and motivation she and they don't know how them women and them get their money. How much thing they have to go and scrub on a hustle from CPEP, you have to go by bar, you have to go by this one want to see a private part and all kind of wickedness that was done. And you have the audacity to watch me as a young African man in this country and tell me that I would not have ambition to go and buy a camera and buy a computer to deliver a message to somebody in this country. But what I like with it, Trinidad and Tobago, is that in the midst of the negativity, our responsibility, where man does try to use for evil, our responsibility is to use it for good. So it is nice to know that that same African brother and his followers, the same former administration and their followers, it is nice to know that all you could easily speak in Trinidad and Tobago. We know in no election now, so now all you have to talk the truth. So all you could easily speak and clarify that Indian people have no problem making investment in African people. You had that data. You know the data that you don't have? The leader that you supporting, the group and the village council, the women's league that you supporting. You bring data where them support African people. The PNM today only have Penelope Beckers as the political leader because it reached the point right now that the PNM is about to be scrapped. And they are under the impression that the only how that Balize could stay alive, we gonna really have to put back our puppet day. We gonna really have to put back our puppet day. And all you know, in point 14, when they're looking for a puppet, Lavantil, when they're looking for puppets, Silots, they're looking for puppets. This is what PNM hire. They don't hire representatives, they hire puppets. I ask people over the years, my member of parliament, they make 4 months in parliament yet. My member of parliament ain't get an opportunity, he government ain't get to read a budget yet. Likewise, library. First time these two groups under the UNC ticket. 2 of them are good here, so you can't identify what side of the fence they're on. So you can't really talk no racial talk wrong the 2 of them. And the 2 of them, one representing Lobre and one representing Point 14. We have people in this country taking chain up talk about Indian using African and only African in the front talking. Partners, if you don't want to tune into the Indian programs, that is your business. Again, I don't tell you if you don't like the music, me can't vex with you for that. But I part of my culture. Just like how I love my best village. So if you don't like it, you don't know it, no problem with you with that. But me as an African, you're not catching me to be that type of African. You can't get me to follow the Lion Pastor and Jennifer Fedrick and this next one, New Sauce, and these bunch of jokers, and when you pass through the community, they ain't helping their own people. Them are wrong, they know all the politicians. You know all the politicians, they in bed with everybody in PNM. Go back, check emancipation. They're out in the road, they're whining. Check back all the emancipation for the 10 years. Check back. They are out and about and they're taking pictures. The only thing they can do is full a bag and drop it for somebody who less fortunate in the zone. The only thing they can do is stand up and talk about the lack of opportunities. So they know. Let me talk a little bit about that because we head into the 2 o'clock. Under the former administration, when the former Prime Minister, Mr. Keith Rowley and his entourage, his vigilante crew, not me who said, the American government said, the human trafficking crew. When he and his human trafficking vigilante crew went to CARICOM to have a meeting to label the young men and young women of Trinidad and Tobago at a particular age and label them terrorists. I remember I did a live the day. I remember doing a live the day. And I asked the question, everybody asking how we curbing crime. Everybody asking what we implementing and what the police is going to do in the fight against crime. Everybody want the police lick down everybody who doing crime. Understand the breeding ground for crime. One of the elements is poverty. The next element is lack of opportunity. I am not taking away that it have people out there who not on shoppiness. It have people out there that is on shoppiness. But our responsibility is to never neglect the environment that people is in. And when you look at the crime-riddled areas, you look at the areas that get affected, especially in the past 10 years. Look at the crime-riddled areas, the places where young men prominently tend to be brandishing guns and how close they are to the affected areas. You tell me if that is acceptable in Trinidad and Tobago. Church school, I see that. I see that. And beside that, just school. Let's see if I can put this up on the screen here. Beside this, right? Let me don't forget, we former Minister of Public Utility / former Minister of National Security, Mr. Marvin Gonzalez' name get called up in some conversation over in the UK. So let me don't forget that. The former administration had all the data, they had all the information, and they did nothing about it. So the United Kingdom was left in a position that they had to implement where they had to implement. Because if the average citizen is one enough, but if government officials' name getting called up and the government that's sitting, that is normal, you just continue to have those persons serving. So then you don't care about nobody. You telling the world that your citizens could leave and come over in my place, mash up my place, sell drugs in my place, do what they want in my place. And I continue to give you okay access. No. And this is what the former administration, that is how they behaved. They had no respect for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, and they had no respect for the outside nations. I want to ask you today, based on the murder rate, based on some of those videos that was able to circulate, we saw old people being violated. We saw old ladies, we could not see, we listen, we read it. If you go back on the Ian Allen page, you have patience and a good heart, go back and take in the Ian Allen page. If you have patience and a good heart and you want to get a vivid picture at the level that Trinidad and Tobago is at disrespecting their own selves. Because you rape a woman, you rape all women. You rob a business, you rob all business. Doing that is like ripping off your jacket pocket, your jacket sleeve, and putting it in your pocket and think that you inherit something. When you rob the average businessman, that is what you're doing. Because you know why I could tell you that? Because it's the same businessman that your family had to go back to when it's time to get support for sports. And as beyond sports, sports is a tool. It is a diversion of leading people to crime. Sports could be utilized as that. Now, mind me, ladies and gentlemen, anyone who have the basic common sense or just follow sports globally, it will tell you that when it comes to track and field, Jamaica, you don't play with Jamaica. And while all of that going on, if you're discussing track and field on a global level, if you do not mention Trinidad and Tobago, then you're not talking track and field. If you're talking track and field and you ain't mentioning Trinidad and Tobago, then you're not talking that. You're talking football, you ain't mentioned Trinidad and Tobago, you're not speaking football. Trinidad and Tobago, and if you want, I can scale it down a little more. Tobago, at one point in time, and had the highest paid footballer in the world. Dwight York. In Trinidad on this side, we still, and if you go down India, you're getting a real argument with this. Brian Lara is still labeled as the greatest, in some eyes, one of the greatest cricketer that the world has ever seen. When you're talking music, from back then come straight up the road. You check the African diaspora. When Marshall was representing African-wise, I was in New York when Marshall Montano sell out Madison Square Garden twice in one day. With Marshall Montano HD and Marshall Montano Unplugged. Twice in one day. When Marshall did it, I think the conversation was only two persons. Michael Jackson was one, and I think Whitney Houston or one of them was the next. Marshall Montano made the third person to sell out Madison Square Garden twice in one day. Two different concerts. Listen what's going on. We down here playing racial games and talking shoppiness. Dealing at Dan just the other day down in South Africa, representing Trinidad and Tobago, Ravi B, Dennis Plummer, all these people, and them played their part just to keep racialism not being a conversation. Sonny Man, Ricky Jai, all of these persons played a part so that Trinbagonians said, come on, Trinidad's supposed to be a balanced place. If Africans was paying attention years ago, if you was paying attention years ago, it would tell you that the life that Mr. Krokro living today is not what he actually stood for. So the fact that his content becomes so racially motivated, he lost his way along the way. He's a good Calypsonian, you can't take that from him, but he lost his way along the way. And he utilized his talent and his gifting for the vision. And when you do that, you could never win. It is impossible to win. Mr. Krokro is living testimony of that. When you use your giftings to push racialism. A next person who have been in this business for the longest and find themselves in a position today like they can't see the way. Miss Juliet Davy. I met them in this conversation. They utilized God, what God created them for. And they utilized the structure for racialism. Listen, today, Mr. Munila looking for your money. Mr. Munila looking for your money. Mr. Munila government is in office, and Mr. Munila government looking for money. So if there's one thing we could boast about, all you don't know, the UNC government doesn't have no problem to share. The UNC government have no problem making investment in poor people, whether African or Indian, Chinese looking or whatever it is. Once it's their responsibility to handle the situation, this is how racial you think there is. This is despite how racial you think there is. When there was implementing the laptop program, it wasn't only for Indian people. The baby grant wasn't only for Indian people. Book grant, food card, and the list goes on and on. Billing schools, fire stations, wasn't only for Indian people. This is why I continue to tell people, I can't speak for where you live in. I live in Point Fortin. 72% of the revenue that took care of Point Fortin came from, that took care of Trinidad and Tobago. KFC, blessed afternoon, big brother. Talk to me.
Good afternoon, my big brother. Mr. Felix, what's going on?
Ade. How you doing today, man?
I taken to the program and disagree with you. Mr. Crocodile, a good Calypsonian.
No. I'm doing his history, not the Crocodile today. He has some long time songs. You're going to give him that forward. But he make up his bad. He practice racialism.
Crocodile is the greatest racial Calypsonian.
And nobody can argue that.
Not uplift black.
You're right.
Not uplift black people.
Yes, you're right.
It's to pull black people down.
Yes.
Croco and Sugarlos and all of them is Balize Calypsonian.
Yes.
Them is racial Calypsonian.
Thank you. That is it.
Them don't sing nation building. Them don't sing nation building songs. Them don't sing songs to defend the PNM and discriminate the Indian community. At the end of the day, the Indian community doing fine and good.
Thank you.
For emancipation, they will feel make all the money, Ricky Group and company.
And you don't know what we vex at Ricky?
Look, we have been celebrating World Pan Day.
Thank you.
I said, I set a tent in this square day. Who put up all them tents and them?
Yeah.
The cost and say Salman is a racist. Salman wasn't no racist. Salman was talking plain and truth.
Plain.
You know, like David Marble and them coming and talking nice.
Yeah.
And try to suck educated and any day they didn't get it nothing, Mr. Felix.
True. That is truth.
Because quote unquote they say the PNM is a black party, you know.
I would have both I would have tell we they grow you up telling we that. That is history?
Yes. Yeah, 40-something years the PNM run this country.
Straight.
And what you communities were lapidated and ring down who concern voting the PNM.
Yes.
Look here, I seen a young lady, she said she is called herself on social media showing. It's about truck in LAR, I know that truck.
Yeah.
That truck lapidated. You see that truck? Mr. Felix, I go sell it for you.
Yeah.
And I PNM stronghold.
Yes.
Like Queen Master constituency.
Yeah.
I know they're calling this former government now to look into the matter. So I'm for the last 9 years. But that truck also for the last 9 years. You know?
Yeah.
I passed with that truck more than once.
I see the video with the truck. I say, well, okay. So like this truck now, guess so. And if you hear the breakdown, everybody know how to fix it now and get it up to road level. And I say, what?
But here the latest one, I taken an evil big belly man. We don't call him no pastor. The latest one now, he paid them call him to attack Jack Warner now. Yeah, the most successful black man. Jack Warner never robbed nobody here. Jack Warner is the one educated black man. Jack Warner robbed the colonial masters and then the white plan who slave black people for the years and bring money in this country, carry World Cup, football to the World Cup. Not so early.
Thank you. That is the truth. That is the truth. You brought that to me. You did it.
Yeah. I want you black conscious brother, the Attorney General now set up a Jack. Let America Hall. Jack not coming there. He's staying right here.
That is that. Ladies and gentlemen, again, seeing that KFC touch on it. I want to touch on a piece of thing here one time too. Matter of fact, the phone lines are open at 3240844. I want to touch on something here too. They're always quick to talk about Jack Warner. This is this lying pastor. No. He says he's a pastor. I just want to give all our history. No, let me just check back on the contribution that same lying pastor make by Iowa George. They run all the man ads, run the man station down to ground. Doing what? Not preaching racialism, separation and division. This is while they were receiving scraps from the organization they supporting it. They were receiving scraps from the organization that they supported. Now, I just want to bring a piece of conversation here to people. You see the HGC housing structure where they're building the house and all of that? It is good. For the average citizen, you get a house, no problem. You didn't have a house before, no problem. But despite how much house Mr. David Lee talked about, and Mr. Anil Roberts and Mr. Philip had the responsibility to build and implement, I am not diverting from encouraging people in this country to save the money and buy a piece of land. I am not diverting from that. This platform is not one of the platforms that would advise people, especially if you could push the innovation to bring the relevant resources your way. If you could educate yourself, why would you continue holding a straight cutlass? If you already educated yourself, why would you continue supporting a governing authority that only see you with a straight cutlass in your hand, that only see you as a woman lying down on your back, that only see you as a man bending down forward? Why would you continue to support that? Why would you continue to support a high crime rate, be a part of a conversation that the only reason why you don't have nothing is because Indian people using you? But when you do check the innovative Africans in this country, all of them in concern with all our racial talk. All of them will tell you, boy, you know, I have Indian friends, I have African friends. I had 2-3 people who I just talk to is Chinese, I consider as friends, as Syrian as friends. You know, 2-3 of them Spanish people, because all them Spanish people who come from down the road, all of them is not criminals, you know. Some of them was actually police officers, some of them was actually businessmen and businesswomen. I tell you, one of the largest misguided group in this country is the African population. And they expect me as an African to be a part of their propaganda machinery. They stood up and boast. Marvin Gonzalez boasts about Eric Williams boasting about installing PNM propaganda machinery. And no matter how you ask me, I would tell you, UNC don't have a propaganda machinery. They probably have it, I don't know. But I'm not a part of that side of UNC. And as far as I know, there is only one UNC. UNC and the coalition of interests with TPP at the side makes up the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And I am telling you, I cannot afford to go back to the PNM controlling my area. PNM sidetrack all the local contractors done by me and brought in PNM contractors from out of Point 14. They give them to control the labor in LNG. They give them to control the labor offshore petrotrain trimmer. The PNM bypass all the local educated persons and brought in people who barely have knowledge. Oil spill after oil spill after oil spill after oil spill. The PNM government restricted every single person who was petrotrain police. Listen what I'm telling you, not petrotrain security officers. You know. Petrotrain police, you know how many young, vibrant African and East Indian people was a part of that? Guarding the assets of our nation. They fire all them people. They fire all them people. Today they take the structure and put it under amalgamated. You're vexed with amalgamated because I know when it's time to donate, amalgamators do a little donating too. But why would me as a citizen volunteer for amalgamated security to guard my asset when my company name is Petrotrain and Petrotrain have ambition to hire Petrotrain police? Petrotrain police understood their responsibility. They understood what they were in charge of. And all these things were restricted. And this lying pastor, this lying group of personnel, instead of doing the respectable and the right thing, the slave, the Willie Lynch syndrome in them, the Willie Lynch syndrome that is beaten into them. They even stand up on their own 2 legs. You living in a nation where here every creed and race find on an equal place. But you telling me by now, I want my son to show ambition. I want my son to graduate to the highest. And I want my son, when he's speaking to people, he speak fluently. But as much as I want that for my son, my responsibility is to sit down and bad talk Barry Pararat mother and them son. Bad talk Saddam Hussein them parents. Bad talk their son. But what good thing for my son? All you understand what you're doing by. Understand what it is all you participating in. Understand what all you're endorsing. All you're participating in systematic racialism that has been installed by the former administration and their leaders and embedded in the minds of Africans. And that takes us nowhere. When we talk in business in Trinidad and Tobago, you talk every ethnicity but the African man. The African man is so blinded, so misguided, that he under the impression that it have African in this country that don't have ambition to go and buy a camera. I buy the camera. I've been supporting with the internet. This is why today, ladies and gentlemen, I continue to thank every supporting factor that helped us at 648 with Real Talk along the way. Helped us along the way with the page, the platform, and the program. I thank you that opened up the algorithm, ladies and gentlemen. I continue to tell you that our responsibility, let us build this page by the next 2 months. Build it by 10,000. We're going forward. You have a say. Your say must be heard. Listen what we're doing here. I tell you without a doubt, without hiding. I say, bless God afternoon. I see we cross the 500 today, which tend to be a customary thing these days. So I say thank you very much to our brothers and sisters who continue to support. Eric push the race card. So we have people here, we know what's going on. Bless good afternoon, Mr. Freeport. How you do, better?
Afternoon, great program. I listened you from time you come on, and I didn't want to disturb you. So I allow you to carry on. But brother, once the people in this country think positive,
yes,
we would have a better country.
Yes.
Just think, somebody says something, just try and analyze what they're saying.
Yes.
Before you bash them.
Before we attack.
Yes. You know, so yes.
Yeah.
I sent 2 videos for you. I don't know if you had time to look at it.
All right.
Right?
We done pass it 2 o'clock already, so we will get to that tomorrow, please God. But we pass it 2
yeah, well, what I want to tell you, just look at it. And if what I did is wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I would accept if I'm wrong.
No problem.
So, you know.
Right.
But we have to make this country better.
Yes.
And we have to help the government. If we see them going wrong, we're supposed to tell them.
Yeah.
So, you know, they wouldn't continue like the PNM. Because the PNM,
true.
The
True.
PNM people see the PNM going wrong and nobody never open their mouth or lift a finger. Look, they bashing Mr. Warner. Mr. Warner never thief Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Warner was one of the hardest MP. Let
me guess. Let me guess. If you browse through social media, is African bashing Mr. Warner?
Yes, we know that.
Right. You know why? Because Mr. Warner is an ambitious African. Mr. Warner have reached places that especially African, the boy Rowley could do what it is he want. He could never reach as high as Mr. Warner reach. Mr. Warner hold one of the highest posts globally.
And Mr. Warner put we on the international stage, boy.
Thank you.
And you know, people can't see that.
Thank you.
If was not for Mr. Warner, we never see no World Cup.
Thank you.
And Qatar would have never see a World Cup. And these people can't understand that. Why bash him, man? When Mr. Warner used to sit down in the office from morning to night, he never say only looking after Indian. Anybody come and you get paid. You don't have to be an Indian for you to give you a salary.
No, listen. As an African, Mr. Warner had the opportunity to be at any part of any side of politics. And when he came back to this country, he pulled to the UNC. Now, when Mr. Warner pulled to the UNC, how Mr. Warner talk and how he dealt with the people of Trinidad and Tobago is not exactly what Miss Kamala Persad-Bissessar have been living since before Mr. Warner come back. Correct me if I'm wrong, you know?
Yes.
So if it is we in good hands, Mr. Warner and Miss Kamala fall out, look for the betterment of this country, then put that aside. So if you as a man used to hit your wife, you telling me you cannot put that aside for the betterment of the family?
Yeah, here what's going on. It have a lot of people do worse than what happened.
Yeah.
And they can't correct it.
Yeah.
They can't correct it.
Yeah.
We as human beings, we does make mistake. And Miss Kamala Persad-Bissessar confess and say in the first 5 years, she made mistake and she decided to correct it. So I can see if both of them had a problem and they're thinking for the better of the country, they can't get back together. I cannot see no problem there. Once you're doing something for the betterment of your country, and you know, plenty of them go down the racial line, and that's the only thing they could see.
Racial line, Miss Kamala and Jack Warner, Mr. John Jeremy, Philip Edward Alexander, Khadija Amin. You see that list there? Annie Roberts, Lakram Boudou, Rachel, they can't come wrong with that. If it's one group, if it's one organization that doing a very poor display of being racial, is the UNC and the coalition. They're doing a very poor job of showing that they're racial.
Yes.
If it's that way, go ahead.
And don't forget this guy who was in, I think, St. Joseph and went Barbados, and when he came back, he gravitated to the UNC. The real Costa man, boy. I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me time years at PNM, you're not supposed to see the good thing the UNC doing and join them.
That is it. That is it. Forget my children getting water. Forget my children close off the school term, getting water. Forget it. Forget.
Look, I'm glad you talk about water. I'm glad you talk about water.
Thank you.
We used to get water one time in 2 weeks. If we get once a week, we're lucky. Now we getting water. We getting water. Me, I talk about me. I getting water almost every other day, but thanks to David Lee. Thanks to David Lee and his crew.
Thank you.
And not only me, because I talk for a lot of people, and when I call the people and them, they say yes, the water problem better.
Thank you.
And the pressure greater too.
Thank you.
This is why a lot of people don't know what idols do. This is why I call you off the air to let you know what idols do.
Right.
I don't tell everybody that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But for a time they don't know somebody, what people doing, they're ready to bash them.
No, well, we in this.
And that is that.
That is right.
Right? So I know your time up.
Yeah.
So you take care and keep going.
Freeport,
keep going.
Thanks to the call.
I see my brothers and them TC and Heavy, they get banned for 5 years. Some PNM get at them because they are like that.
Heavy was supposed to call in yesterday too because I have a new page. So he missed today, but hopefully he go call in tomorrow so that he could give back the clipping and give back the exact address of where they at because they get zapped. They get zapped.
Oh, okay. All right, you take care.
Thank you, man.
And have a blessed night.
Yeah, same to you, brother.
All right, take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Blessed afternoon, big brother.
Yeah, Mr. Felix, short and sweet. Mr. Felix.
Talk to me.
We didn't celebrate emancipation Friday gone day.
Yipa?
We didn't celebrate emancipation Friday gone day.
I come out. My member of parliament get me to come out. I hope, I'm telling you, I hope in the government. In point 14.
But
right.
No, me go there, me put all that tricky to go and say ungrateful black people. What you problem who fighting for Jack Warner to get extradited?
What's me? You know why I went out there today?
And them-
You know why I went out there in Point 14 this year? Yeah?
Yeah.
Because I know my government is who is responsible for emancipation celebration in Point 14 this year. I know that.
Yeah.
My minister put things in place and my member of parliament endorse it. And they give the borough corporation and they put them stout. They go ahead and stout. But I had to go out and show that we're not leaving our things just so. We have a responsibility to the people and we will continue to show up. You go ahead, brother. You see a signal drop. Your phone mute. You see your phone mute. You will call me back. Well, anyhow, the program. Yeah, this person was calling. Let me get this one here. Bless afternoon, caller.
Oh, brethren.
Bless.
Yeah, no, my brother.
Talk to me.
It's not only Google, you know. A lot of these churches are politically aligned, you know, my brethren. Let me share something with you.
Talk to me.
A few years ago, when Kamala was prime minister, the Adventist church invited her to speak at a convention in the Attobolden Stadium. The church membership went in an uproar. They wanted to crucify Clive Dutton. You know, a few months after, they had Terry Rondon and Keith Rowley giving a speech in a crusade in Toko.
Normal.
Yeah, what I tell him, my brother?
Hypocrisy to the highest level.
Hypocrisy to the police. The Adventist church.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, caller. So let's see what take place. So this fight that we in here, this is no PNM UNC fight. This is UNC and the coalition of interests with the support with TPP fighting to save Trinidad and Tobago. This is what it is. TPP show over on that side that them have no problem representing everybody in Tobago. PNM couldn't do it. Them send down 2-3 people and them come down for a spin and get tied up with the glitz and glamour. And Shamfa Kojo end up forgetting that it have people living in Tobago till she and all put out content telling you that nobody lives there. She put out content. Nobody lives there. You forget that you come down to Trinidad to represent, to be an ally come my partner Fali. Explain to them, hey, remember you're coming down on Tobago business, you know, partners. He spoke to them. So I understand the position that we are in. To my brothers and sisters in Trinidad and Tobago, those of us who are not racially motivated. To my East Indian brothers and sisters, to my African brothers and sisters who was debating it years upon years. Indian better than this one and African better than this one. I want to encourage all you. While all having that argument, we have people like Ravi Figaro, we have people like Khadija Amin and Anil Roberts caught in the midst. Because our ethnicity, it mixes along the way. So we can't afford to continue playing racial. My responsibility is to remind you, every one of us have our own spiritual denomination that we stand with. So don't utilize no opportunity to bring down the Hindu man. You didn't grow up in that. Don't utilize no opportunity to bring down the Muslim. You didn't, especially if you didn't grow up in it. Don't utilize the opportunity to condemn the Christian if you didn't grow up in it. That mad thing where we know here, that ain't no gospel thing. You can't be a hypocrite if you're inviting people to speak, You can't vex, and this is what telling people in this country. A lot of African persons in vex with Miss Kamala because she's a political leader, you know. They in vex with Miss Kamala because she do them something personally. Them in vex with people in the UNC because they do them something personally, you know. Them literally just vex with the United National Congress. They vex with Barry Padarat and David Lee and them because they are not Africans. That is the only reason. And my responsibility is to ask the African community. So all you don't see Mr. Alexander there, boy? So all you're not seeing Mr. John Jeremy there, boy? All you're getting Africans who not being a part of stupidness. All you're getting Africans who supporting the cause that everybody deserves an opportunity to talk. All you get Africans and East Indians and Chinese looking and Syrian looking. We get our organization with all of this mix-up. I am telling you, if the United National Congress is a racial party and is a racial party that does support Indian people, they are doing a very poor job of it. They cannot convince the average person in this country, UNC Racial, that conversation only hold water in a PNM meeting. That only hold water in a PNM meeting. Because again, PNM continue to look at their supporters as idiots. They look at them as tools to utilize when it's time to vote. No, when they will vex because they do. Well, that too. They did not represent the PNM. Yes, that too. And the next one is because they are Indian people. That too. You're right, Daniel, you're right. Again, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, as I close off this afternoon, I want to thank you all for the support, the encouragement, the endorsement. Thank everyone who shared, who liked, and thank everyone who already subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, I want to ask you, share it in your groups, share it in your teams. Let me get the viewership up. Asking you, and on top of that, you have people who say they like how the show go, brothers and sisters who say we can organize a way where we could send that support. So I'm saying, if it is you enjoy the program, you like being a part of the program, you like the opportunity at the real conversation, and you're living outside of Trinidad and Tobago, and the Lord laid upon your heart and say, well, let me send a little support for this little black boy down there. Again, you could PayPal me at Trinidad Halls. That is my family over there, set up a structure that is under my mother's name. But the name of the way the PayPal is Trinidad Halls. And again, the Scotiabank information is on the screen. If it is you happen to be in Trinidad and you say, well, let me send a little financial support because I want to keep the lights on. I think it's by now Irvin should get our next phone line. Yeah, let me get this thing going properly. Ladies and gentlemen, the Scotiabank number is there. And again, if it is you're listening, the number is 463-754-021575. Again, 463-754-021575. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you in advance for the support. Thank you for the encouragement. Thank you for the share. Thank you for the likes. The Felix family is out and about. And to those of you who have your businesses out and about, our responsibility as we continue to talk, real talk, we actually connect to real people. I didn't get a call from Granny today. So Granny, if you're listening, bless good afternoon to you. Nothing but love coming from the studio, coming from each and every one of the viewers and the listeners. I'm sending out some love to each and every one of our viewers. Dalbelly, I didn't get a call from you today too, so bless good afternoon to you. I must send out some love to the ground report team. Ladies and gentlemen, when the morning break, you don't be confused to find out where you're getting your content from. My responsibility is to remind you. You're tuning into the ground report. While the ground report going on, you know we are with Douglas Politics, with Big Brother, we supporter, we fighter. You know we are Arnold Roberts in the mix with us. So I encourage you, please do not miss an episode at Douglas Politics. And while that going on, you know, we are breaking down. We better out and about. He does the little medical thing while he keep the conversation real. Again, you know, Unicorns. And to those of you who actually want to do a program, because people saying that open the door so let other people get the program, come on. After breaking down, between 10 and 12, we have 3 hours. So if you feel free and to contact, set up a structure. At the end of the day, the money will only be used for the lights and the electricity and the internet because the money has to be invested. And if you have something to say, no matter your spirituality and your ethnicity, I don't care about that. My responsibility is not to talk down on no Hindu person. So if you're a Hindu person, and I honestly believe that the spiritual denominations should be heard a little more louder. So if you have a spiritual group and you see what's going on here, you understand the fight that is actually being pushed there and is a part of the conversation. And you say, nah, man, well, oh God, run some content down by Felix Tam and I go help better Felix pay a little light bill. That would be appreciated too, because again, the thing is about getting the relevant information, because if you don't know where you're coming from, it is impossible to know the direction that you're going. So Trinidad and Tobago, our responsibility is to understand where we're coming from. And we come from love. We come from unity. We come from nation building. And the direction we're going forward. We're going forward with the United National Congress and the coalition of interest. Again, I cannot leave out Tobago. I cannot leave out Mr. Farley Augustine and his team. I cannot leave out my member of parliament that continue to stand firm, continue to not leave in the rain when it's time to speak up on behalf of Point 14, when it's time to actually stand up for righteousness. Mr. Ernesto Raymond Kizabadna, I salute you. Full 100 support. Again, I'm sending out some information because as we navigate, we have TC and Heavy. TC and Heavy is actually back. Preach home safety. No problem. Thank you. I'll reach home properly. TC and Heavy is back out and about. Please, I want to encourage you. When it comes to this group, when you're passing, it ain't costing you nothing to par like two. And Hunter Search and Rescue, the two teams. Again, we brother Ian Allen Page, Ian does deal with some kind of things. So again, ladies and gentlemen, we boys Stack Entertainment is always out and about. Opinion Box continuing to do its thing. Ladies and gentlemen, the list Jason De Silva, everybody continuing to do the thing. I asking brothers and sisters, let we stand firm. Let us stand strong. If you see something and you don't like it, yes, you want to talk about it, you have to come up and drag the whole government under the bus. Remember where we now come out from. Bring your conversation, bring it in a respectful way once you want it to be addressed. Get to your member of parliament. This is why all through Trinidad and Tobago, we have members of parliament. Get to your member of parliament. Member of parliament, what's going on? I see thing with the situation. You want to factually continue being updated by CPEP? Tune in to Mr. Pararat's page. Give him the like. If it's an angry face, put the angry face and give the reason why. Give your opportunity. Don't allow the former administration and their supporters to continue going up on our representatives page, putting up disrespectful comment, and we just read it and say, you ain't see them and drive past it. No. That cannot continue. It's either we standing with our leaders or we not standing with our leaders. If we understand where we come from, TC and Heavy comes on, I think that comes on the same time. What happened is, boy, I've shocked that Heavy and call me because he was supposed to call me yesterday to give the brothers and sisters the update. All you know, me ain't totally nothing. Me ain't vexing with nobody. I pushing love and unity. Once we pushing irrelevant content, we standing with the government, we standing with the government. We come to terms, everything we wouldn't know, everything we wouldn't understand. It is my responsibility to ask. So somebody asks a question concerning Jack Warner and the government and the former administration. We go talk a little bit about that tomorrow, please, the Lord. Right? As you ask, see, week before, let's say, well, even see if you can get Anil to come up now, boy, because see Anil talking a little emancipation thing. I can't get the guarantee I will get them to come. But it is up to them to come. The reason why I tell you, I doesn't rush my member of parliament, me rushing Mr. Munilal and them because them dealing with energy and that energy structure there, the amount of work that had to be put in, the amount of decision that had to be made, I want to get my thing up and running before I start to put my MP sit down back to back and talk. I want to find out about the journey. I want to sit down and then explain to us now that you're under the UNC ticket and since you have inherited them kind of thing, but I can't bring that conversation to you based on where we are with energy. You see what's going on with a new government, we was able to track, to encourage Exxon Mobil to come back. We were able to encourage Shell to come back. We were able to encourage business people and business brothers and sisters to come back to Trinidad and Tobago. So funny how government change and the outcome changing. People of Trinidad and Tobago, probably up by you probably could give a conversation and say, well, I've thrown up my hand in the air and I supported the UNC again, I good. You probably could do that. I don't have that luxury. I just came out of 20-something years of rubbish treatment, 20-something years of having no say, 20-something years of CPEP and URP, 20-something years of people who contributed in building this nation, lost their pension, their dental, I cannot confirm to you if my Uncle Clifton wife, Auntie Leela, I cannot confirm to nobody in this country if my uncle wife, he died home in the house with the wife, if she could go to medical under his name. And they worked and they already paid for that. The former administration ripped that and they rip it up in front of our face and disrespect we family. And you know what they did? They get their supporters to agree to live under poverty. Our responsibility is to revoke that, is to reshuffle that. I fed up with my family members and other people, family coming to Trinidad and you're coming to just build a little house and they're robbing you. You're coming to open a little business, you're getting robbed. You're coming just to do a little planting around your place, you're getting robbed. I sit down and see an Indian man swinging in the hammock. Them young boy pull up in the can and carry the man inside in gunpoint. I'm fed up at it. I'm fed up. So brothers and sisters, the only how we could divert from it, we must have the real conversation and we must understand Trinidad and Tobago is a unified nation. My account number is on the screen. The banking account number is on the screen. The banking account is the bank account is Scotia Bank, and the number is 46375021575. That is Scotia Bank number. And ladies and gentlemen, those of you outside of Trinidad and Tobago, you can PayPal me at Trinidad Halls. Halls is my mother's surname because she married over there. So at Trinidad Halls, but Felix doing things has to be done. Being different. That's all. I'm gonna catch this one. Doing things have to be done, being different, because where is the crime plan? Where is the crime plan? I know the crime plan. This is the crime plan, Frank. This is the crime plan. You see, this is what going on. Over the years, we take one set of sweet talk and a set of THs from Mr. Fitzgerald Hines. That is not government. That is not dealing with crime. Let me be real, Papa. This is the crime plan. If you don't have one of this, well, then you're lost out. If you had a copy and you misplace your copy, you need to find back your copy. There you will understand what we vote for. Come on, man. Once these legislations are implemented and we equip the police, because Mr. Alexander and make no excuse. He and Mr. Sturge and all our we citizens know that we have police out there where the bulletproof vests expire. That is an insult, me being a citizen and my police officers' vests expire. That is an insult. So just the fact of me being a Trinbagonian citizen, I don't have to be in government to feel shame about that. So the fact that the government came into office understanding that this is an embarrassment that we police. Obviously, well, Mr. Alexander, not Philip, Roger Alexander, you see, you go on Princess Song at the gas station, it is an embarrassment. What you telling me? Nobody in Princess Tongue do nothing good? Princess Tongue is a contributing factor. Princess Tongue is one part of the country that it is very rare to get racialism, because over there, well mixed up. I live there. Well mixed up. And you telling me Princess Tongue end up without a fire station? Well, then what the people of Princess Tongue did to Trinidad and Tobago, that Trinidad and Tobago sit back and allow the former administration to run 2 terms. Matter of fact, they predominantly controlled Trinidad and Tobago. And allow Princess Tongue and tell me that is not racialism. Take that and add that to the shortcoming of water in Superior, the shortcoming of water in Shogunas, the shortcoming of water down in Cedros. Drive through the population now and check the predominant ethnicity. And you tell me that that was not targeted on Indian people. It's just that they utilize the Africans who live in among them Indian people. They call it collateral damage. A small thing. We go make them Indian feel it. And they would have fed Trinidad and Tobago. Our responsibility is to rip up that doctrine. Kick it down a drain. Wash it out with bleach. Those who promoting it, people like Jennifer Frederick and Pastor Liar and all of them, lock them off. Lock them off. Here, every creed and race find an equal place. And again, ladies and gentlemen, and may God bless our nation. 648 family, I thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for the love, the support, and the endorsement and the encouragement. I continue to ask you all to stay focused and let's stay blessed. Let's thank God for Jesus, everything that he have done and everything that he continue to do for us. Our brothers and sisters. Oh God, let me get my boy Freeport now one more run. Freeport, short and sweet. Talk to me.
Sure, yeah. What happened is I want to, people on the chat want to get the account number. So if you could post it up, it might be helpful.
I see a couple of people posting it up here too. So I thank
okay.
Yes, I thanking every single person.
Take care.
Yes, man. Thank you much. I thanking every one of our brothers and sisters who seeing the information, who supporting the information, brothers and sisters who making the commitment to support, because brothers and sisters at the end of the day, our responsibility is to keep the lights on, keep the phone line open, and keep the information flowing. So wherever you are in Trinidad and Tobago, my responsibility is to encourage you. Stay focused with your government. Stand firm with your government. Something bothering you, speak to your member of parliament. Do not go around these PNM jokers. Do not. Why I'm telling you, it's just like what they're trying to tell me. They're trying to tell me that UNC don't have a plan. But yet still I have this in my hand. I have this in my hand. and they're telling you that UNC don't have a plan. If Mr. Barry Padarat or Ms. Kamala Prasad Bisesa had to come back out, or Mr. Clyde Elder, or Mr. Ernesto Raymond Kiza had to come back out and explain this to we in the public domain, brothers and sisters, we go start to look like we're a PNM party. And I know what we want. We are looking for that. All the people who leave PNM and come to support the UNC and the coalition of interest is because they had enough. And all the people who is UNC and never budge, come on, all you gain, everybody respect. We live to see where all was telling we, yes, no. And for that, we say thank you very much for continuing the fight. And this is not only Indian people. People who know UNC long time. People who know people like Ayers and Fitzroy Beach and people like... Come on, man. Come on, man. UNC is not only an Indian party. So Trinidad and Tobago, as we navigate forward, our brothers and sisters on the outside, as we navigate forward, moving forward with unity, we have the responsibility and the authority to stand side by side with our government. And this is what we would do. You ain't getting me to tell you that everything go nasty, people working, no. But I could guarantee you that $144 billion was borrowed. 1.4 billion. Paris and them. Where is Paris Alwari? Where he is? He show up yet? And nearly forget to ask him. Where him? He show up as yet? $1.4 billion in CPEP scandal and CPEP fiasco. With evidence to it. Me and them. Ladies and gentlemen, until we meet tomorrow, please, Lord, remember to PayPal me. Give the support, brothers and sisters. Let me keep it going. Again, it's your boy Ruben. This has been our next episode of Real Talk. I want to ask you to stay focused. I want to ask you to stay blessed. I continue to ask the Father to cover your going outs and your coming ins, cover your marriages, cover your businesses. Father, put a turning tide in the young men and the young women that practice violent crimes today. We pray for no harm and no danger to come upon no person. No person. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I thank you all for your support, your encouragement, and your endorsement. And until we meet again, it's your boy Uven, and this has been our next episode of Real Talk. So it's nothing but love, love, love.
Oh, yes. Hear the cries in the streets at night. So many dreams born out like light. Youth them caught in a system code, chasing shadows that take the road. But the rhythm of hope is strong. Feel the beat guide us along. Plant the seed of change in the ground, and with the fruits of love from the storm. So we can rise from the shadows as we shine. Through the pain and the sorrow, leave the darkness behind. For the youths and the future, let the healing begin. The rhythm of behind the let love sustain. So come from the dust till dawn, as we rise up every morn. We fly through the skies like rain. All people will rise again. In hand is how we'll start. Everyone can